Barrel rolls is the reporter thrown into the secretive world of the Forex Super Model, where nothing is as it seems. Beware the techno-monk, and steer clear of Professor Code and his two assistants. Give the senior trader a wide berth, and don't expect any sense from the risk manager.
Good morning, I'm Professor Code and this is the Forex Super Model daily briefing for Wednesday the 2nd of December 2020. The time is just coming up to 05:10 GMT London time. The Asian session is coming to a close, European session firing up, and the North American session will be our lunchtime. So let's take a look at the flows then. So yesterday, which was Tuesday, we had yen and dollar on the negative, pound and euro on the positive. The figures were plus 331 for the euro, plus 169 for the pound, minus 242 for the dollar, and minus 258 for the yen. So this was Tuesday, yesterday, what was it, the 1st of December. Right, so we've got an opposed positive driver in the euro, so it's a positive driver and it's opposed by the pound. We've got a positive rock in the pound, negative mover in the dollar, and a negative secondary driver in the yen. Right, so let's look at the intra-week flows, which are becoming obviously more relevant the further we get through. So these are the intra-week. We've got yen, dollar again, pound, euro. So the batting order is the same. The figures are different obviously. So we've got plus 310 on the euro, plus 187 on the pound, minus 177 on the dollar, and minus 320 on the yen. So this is from Monday the 30th of the 11th to about half an hour ago. So we've got just the yen as the opposed negative driver, opposed by the dollar, negative rock in the dollar, positive mover in the pound, positive secondary driver in the euro. So just to polish off, let's look at what's been happening so far today. So we've got, this is Wednesday today, we've got yen, pound, dollar on the negative, and that leaves the euro on its own out here. So this is, let's put the figures in, plus 52 for the euro, minus 8 for the dollar, minus 17 for the pound, and minus 27 for the yen. So this is today, Wednesday the 2nd of the 12th, about half an hour ago. So we've got an unopposed positive driver in the euro, so that's the unopposed, and we've got a negative rock in the dollar, negative mover in the pound, and a negative secondary driver in the yen. Right, So let's have a look at make some sense of this then for what's happening or what's happened. So yesterday, basically, the euro was the opposed positive driver. So people were buying euro pairs, euro complex, and the opposing flows were fairly evenly going in to the yen and the dollar, out of the yen and the dollar. So we've got flows going into the euro and out of the yen and the dollar, and obviously the pound was the positive rock. So you've got secondary flows into the pound and then going out of the yen and the dollar as well. So let's have a look a bit further. So now we're going to look at the flows that were throughout the week. So this is what's happened so far this week. We've got the yen as the opposed negative driver. So people were coming out of the yen, and then the opposing positive flows were going into the euro and the pound to a less extent, with the dollar on the negative. So here the yen wasn't yesterday. The yen quite wasn't driving on the negative side, but over the week it's edged ahead of the euro in terms of. So in other words, yen weakness is slightly bigger than euro strength. So what's happening today so far? Well, we've got an extreme situation, albeit on short data flows. We've got the euro as the unopposed positive driver at plus 52. So, and all the opposing negative flows are obviously going into the other three complexes, predominantly the yen, pound next, and the dollar. So remember, this situation here, if we've got a positive unopposed driver, albeit short-term flows, that's either a top, so it's either a top in the euro, or it's the continuation of a strong move up in the euro. So that's some context for you. Now, what's happened to our positions? Well, yesterday, obviously during the Brexit enthusiasm period in the yesterday's session, our positions shot upwards because we're 20% long the pound. They came back, and now we're at about 2,010 points up. So yeah, we're back to where we were really, but we're nicely up. Now we closed off our swing euro yen trade yesterday. You may remember that we've had this for, I don't know, probably just from last week, I think. And we closed that off for about plus 60 points, give or take. Now that was reasonable given the size of the trade, and that was what we did. So we're out of the euro yen long, but we're still 38 trades into the pound across the whole complex, which is including all the other pairs like the CAD, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and the chuff. So that's where we're at. So let's make some sense of this going forward then. So a feature obviously of the week and a little bit of next week is major data prints and information coming out, headlines, risk all over the place, so much so that it's not even worth mentioning individual items. So there's, you know, every 2 or 3 hours there's market moving information for short-term traders. Now equities obviously linked with this yen weakness. We've got a yen transmission via the equities, which is a standard yen transmission, and arguably the dollar to a lesser degree is normally in that situation. So when you get rising equities, you tend to get a weaker yen and historically a weaker dollar. But that's another issue. So that sort of explains the flows. What in terms of the yen, it's not all equity driven, obviously. Nothing ever is that simple, but that sort of explains it. So it's clear to see that the main beneficiary of yen weakness has been the euro. So euro has been the flavour of the week, and as such euro pairs have been charging up. Now notice that the pound has been the positive mover, and yesterday it was the positive rock. So the pound is pretty solid. People are sort of not, it's in the forward gearbox basically, but you know, it's quite volatile if you're trading it in a default manner. You're getting bounced all over. I've saw lots of comments out there, basically people saying how wild trading the pound was. Well, for us it's not wild, but that's another issue. But for default traders it is wild, so something to bear in mind. Now so we've got this like equity driven yen weakness pumping funds into the euro, with the pound and the dollar taking a slightly back seat depending on where you're coming from. So far today we've got the euro overtaking the yen, because if you look at the yen was driving over the week, or nearly driving on yesterday. So if the yen is starting to come back a bit, that's not to say that it's turning positive, but it's coming back a bit. So that and you've got the euro now as the unopposed driver. Given the backdrop that we've had this massive oomph in euro pairs, really. So we need to make a decision whether this is a short-term top in the euro or a continuation of an up move. So that will colour our thinking today. So let's get off the fence and make some assessments on there. Right. Okay. So what do we think then? So given the fact that the euro is now the unopposed positive driver, and we've had this ramp up in the markets, the likelihood now is that it's more swinging towards getting towards a top in the euro complex. Now that doesn't mean that you should sell the euro immediately, because there's a tremendous lag with all this buying momentum in the euro. So the likelihood is that we're getting near a top, but we're likely to not be there. So the euro complex arguably is a small rise. They're likely to keep pushing the euro complex excuse me, up. And all those people that are thinking it's topped are going to get burnt basically in the short term. So that's the likelihood. Excuse me, morning syndrome. Right, now what's going to happen with the yen? Well, the yen, as I said, is quite related to equities. Equities, we've still got yen weakness today. So likewise, we think the yen in a small way is going to carry on. So if you like, we'll put a little N there for neutral. So that leaves the dollar and the pound. Now the pound is obviously held hostage to the Brexit negotiations to a degree, and the dollar is in the middle. So if we've got mild to neutral upflows in the euro and mild to neutral downflows in the yen, then we're going to have probably a mixed situation for the dollar and the pound. So the chances are, as I say, if you look at the dollar, yesterday it was weak. It's not so weak on a intra-week basis, and it's starting to be very nearly saying we've had enough of selling. So the dollar is likely to have a neutral to up stance, and that leaves the pound to have a neutral to down stance. So that's where the complexes are likely to receive the flows. And if you look at the individual pairs then, so you're going to get so the euro pound, potentially you could get some positive flows into the euro pound, but they're going to be buffered. The euro yen, likewise, and the euro dollar. The euro dollar is definitely going to be buffered. So euro dollar is going to have opposing flows. So it's likely to be fairly static, right? Which is useful to know. And regarding the euro yen and the euro pound are going to be buffered, but to a less extent. So from a trading point of view, it's likely that there's not going to be any great shakes in terms of both barrel moves, if you know what I mean. So a static position in the euro dollar. So what's actually going to try and move the most? Well, probably the dollar yen. The dollar yen. So you've got the yen going down like this, and the dollar going up to a certain degree. So you're looking at a buy on the dollar yen is probably the best place to stick your stick today, given what I've said and the scenario. So look out for interest in dollar yen today, and expect a high degree of buffering in the market from opposing flows, both front and back door. So thank you very much.